So I just watched A Man on the Inside, season two. I have actually posted a review for the first season just to really quickly give my thoughts. I liked it. I thought Ted Danson had really good screen presence. I liked pretty much most of the people in the old folks' home, and I liked the little things he had going on with his daughter whenever she showed up. And I actually appreciated that. I thought that the twist was pretty clever regarding who took the jewels at the end. So overall, enjoyed it. I was a bit excited when it ended on a cliffhanger, implying there would be a season two. But then, like, I had no idea that the second season had actually come out. Like, I saw no advertising for it and nobody talking about it. Pretty much just stumbled upon it one day about a month after it came out. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll watch this. And now that I finally finished it, watched all the episodes, I enjoyed it. The first season is still better, but I did enjoy the second season. I don't have a ton of general thoughts about the show as a whole, so I'm just going to go ahead and read through the notes I took watching each episode. Hopefully, they'll give like a general idea of what I thought. Episode one, I thought seemed on the right track so far. I like that they make Charles more confident and have more knowledge of the job, but they still make him like a bit bumbling, like he's not 100% perfect all of a sudden. It was nice seeing Stephanie Beatriz as the head of the nursing home again. From the first episode, I was able to call that her and Julie are 100% getting together by the end of the season. I like David Strathairn, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, as Dr. Benjamin Cole. Like, he was a fun character. Like, he was kind of just replacing the guy from the nursing home who didn't like Charles, but he still managed to be fun in his own way. It's always fun to see Gary Cole pop up in things, so him as the donor I liked. The college president's assistant I noticed was played by Karen from SpongeBob, so that's like all I ever saw whenever she was on screen. I thought one of the professors was Alan Cumming, but I was wrong. So I think I like wrote on on Serialized in the review that it's nice to see Alan Cumming pop up in things, and I realized after I wrote that, oh, that wasn't him. Oh well, I won't change that. Mary Steenburgen being in this was a pleasant surprise. Like maybe she was in the advertising if there was advertising, but yeah, it was good to see her in this. Her and Charles have good chemistry. But and then I went back and added another note that changes later in the season. I'll get more into that when that comes up. And I just wrote Charles says the word plop too many times. Like that was I do remember that being a joke that I found kind of annoying. But yeah, episode one good. Episode two, Jason Mantzoukas is another actor I like seeing pop up in things. The relationship between Julia and her mother I thought was interesting. Like, I can understand why there's a rift. I can understand why Julie doesn't want to give her a second chance. But the reconciliation at the end of the episode was still sweet. There are one too many jokes where Charles keeps getting distracted by Mona, who's posing nude. That was a bit much. It's cool to see Stephen McKinley Henderson return. Like, he was probably one of my favorite characters from season one. Probably the comedic highlight of this episode was when he meets Mona in Julie's office. I really liked that scene. I like how Charles tells Mona he's a private investigator right away. Hopefully, this will negate the traditional third act breakup that we see in these types of shows. I will say, I wrote, calling it now, they're going to make Mary Steenburgen a red herring and make us think she did it, but it was just a misunderstanding. I was wrong. That never happened. I didn't delete that. I just added the word wrong to it. Whatever. And as of this, I decided to put my prediction for the villain, Holly Bodgemark, aka the president of the university's assistant. She is was the person that I most medium suspect. Seems like a character the writers would sort of put in as a surprise reveal, like, oh, they'll never see this person coming. And it doesn't help that she reminded me a lot of Bellwether from Zootopia. That might have been another reason I started to suspect her. Was I right? I'll get to that when I get to episode 8. Episode 3, I thought was a fine episode. I find Julie coming to the college to help with the investigation a bit contrived. I guess they just kind of wanted to give her a bit more to do than last season when she was just in her office most of the time. The way Charles's grandson was able to get the list they needed so easily was pretty funny, and that's all I wrote for that episode. So like, yeah, it was still good. I just didn't have a lot to say. It was still a good episode though. Episode 4, this was probably my favorite episode of the bunch so far. I say so far, it is my favorite episode of the season still, but at that moment I was like, oh, this is my favorite so far. The numerous ways Charles gets glitter bombed were very funny. The way Mona taught him about why so many people consider the college so important was relatable, and it was a very nice scene. Like, I kind of related it a bit to my own experiences at college. Not a ton, but like it definitely felt like the kind of environment that was there. I was a bit surprised that Charles, the student researcher, wasn't revealed to be dating her roommate. I was like, there's something going on, but I was wrong, I guess. So, whatever. But yeah, that was a really good episode. He's my favorite, so he's my favorite of the season. Episode 5 was a fun Thanksgiving episode. I'd say it's like right behind episode 4, and it's my second favorite of the season. There's a lot of enjoyable chaos that I like to see in these kinds of holiday episodes. I actually sort of found that in this episode, Charles and Vanessa, who's Julie's mom, had better chemistry than Charles and Mona. Like, at this point, I started to really get the idea that Charles and Mona were a bit too different. I didn't really get why they were together. The number of sweet moments with Julie are starting to feel a bit out of place from how she's been the rest of the series. Like, I can buy a couple sweet moments from her, but she's having one in each episode, and it sort of feels like her character is really changing just based on how the writers want her to be this season. This episode also had some great monologues from Constance Mary and Mary Elizabeth Ellis. They both had very good moments. Yeah, this was a very good episode as well. Episode 6 was good. The party scene was fun. I liked seeing Charles bond with Benjamin. It was a bit sweet seeing Julie reassure Kelsey she'll be a good mom. Like, I know I literally just said she has a few too many sweet moments this season, but by episode 6, I was getting more used to her opening up emotionally, and sort of figure this is kind of just how she is now after working with Charles for so long. I was a bit annoyed by Emily and Mona's subplot. I was like, okay, if Mona actually convinces Emily to quit her job, this is going to be really stupid. But I was glad that Emily realized Mona was crazy and she shouldn't listen to her. Like, another thing that sort of made me realize Charles and Mona weren't really right for each other. The reveal about Aurora not being Gary Cole's mistress and actually being a secret plan to destroy Wheeler College surprised me. I'm interested to see what happens in the next episode, is what I put after watching episode 6. So I immediately jumped into episode 7. It was great seeing more cast members from season 1 back. Jackie Harry was also a fun addition to the episode. I know her as Vanessa from Everybody Hates Chris, and I really like Everybody Hates Chris, so it was just nice seeing a cast member in this. Heist episodes, to me, are always fun, like, especially when things go wrong. It creates a lot of fun chaos. Admittedly, I was a bit shocked that Julie allowed a plan with this many holes to go through. Like, before things even started to go wrong, I was like, but what if this happens? What if that happens? Julie, you're not thinking this through very well. This is like a Charles plan, not a you plan. I just wrote down Titties Gajillions, the fake name that Mona went by at the party. Like, that just made me laugh really hard, especially when she kept introducing herself as that. It never stopped being funny. And I wrote this right as the episode ended. I wonder if Calbert's hip surgery is a way to write the character out if Stephen McKinley Henderson doesn't come back for season 3. But episode 7, also a lot of fun. Probably third best of the season, I would say. Now we're getting into the last episode, episode 8. And just first note, my theory was disproven by cutting to Calbert immediately after the surgery. Like, I originally thought they're going to keep it ambiguous as to whether the surgery went well or not, and they might kill him off in between seasons, but no, he's fine. So, I was just wrong. I thought Benjamin's confession when he went and admitted he was blackmailing the head of the university, I thought that was going to lead to a bunch of teachers coming in and saying they actually did it, a la I'm Spartacus, but that didn't happen, so I was a bit upset about that. I love the subtlety of Brad, Gary Cole's character, referencing Sydney Sweeney. If you know this type of character and you know the deal with Sydney Sweeney, then, you know. It was also funny that Julie and Vanessa were watching Veronica Mars, and they straight up asked if Kristen Bell had done anything since that show. Since I kind of wish Charles had been in that scene though, because that would just complete the Good Place reference. And since talking about references, one of the characters referring to one of the Jack Reachers as Jim Office was pretty funny. That got a good laugh out of me. Honestly, I'm glad Charles and Mona broke up here because their relationship really didn't make a ton of sense as the season went on, and they were just revealed to be too different. I even made sure to right here to clarify episode 5 was really where I started to question why are these two together. There was one scene that had this really weird, like, Family Guy style cutaway gag. Like, they were just talking about this character who moved to Texas, cut to them in Texas for 5 seconds, then cut right back to the scene that is still in progress. It wasn't really funny, so I don't see why it was just a really out of place thing for them to do. They don't really have quick Family Guy cutaway gags like that, so it's weird that they just had it there for no reason. I did so yeah, I was 100% right about who was really behind everything. I did admittedly find it a bit shocking that so many professors ended up being involved in the whole blackmailing thing. I liked Benjamin joining the retirement community at the end. It seemed like a bit of an abrupt place to stop for the season to end though. Like he just like walks down the hallway to like help Stephanie Beatriz with organizing the library, and then the credits start rolling. There's one post credit, like mid credit scene, but like it just felt like kind of a random place to stop. So yeah, as I said, I thought season 2 was good, not quite as good as season 1, but if you enjoyed season 1, I would say season 2 you should also go ahead and check out. I'd be decently interested in a season 3, even though realistically there's probably only a 50-50 chance of it happening, especially since there was like no marketing for this season at all. So I'm going to give Man on the Inside season 2 a B. So those are my thoughts. If you've seen this season, go ahead and let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to see more reviews like this in the future. And on that note, I will see you next time. Have a great day.